17 American passengers on board the cruise ship that was stricken by the hantavirus are officially back on U.S. soil and will be monitored at a quarantine facility in Omaha, Nebraska. One has tested positive and another showed mild symptoms. Meantime, in the market, Moderna shares are higher this morning as the company works on a treatment for the deadly disease. Let's bring in Dr. Vin Gupta, MS Now senior medical analyst and a practicing pulmonologist who also serves on the National Board of Directors for the American Lung Association. So perfect person to talk to, Dr. Gupta. What is your concern level right now about a wider outbreak in this country?
Sarah, to be with you. On that specifically, my concern is low, and I think that mirrors what a lot of public health experts and a lot of entities are saying, that we do not believe that this is another pandemic type situation. And yet there's still a lot of concerns for the public's welfare and for the welfare of the passengers that just came back and arrived, two of which are now in Atlanta for additional monitoring. Because, Sarah, this is the type of virus that can cause significant organ dysfunction, actually causes something called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, which has a high fatality rate. You need significant ICU level capabilities to save people's lives if they're at risk for that. So that is the concern. What about the individuals currently infected or high risk of exposure? And that also includes individuals on the on the cruise ship more broadly, and perhaps even airplane passengers exposed to some of these passengers as well.
So how is it spreading? Is it airborne?
I think that is the question. There's been a lot of talk on different media platforms suggesting that what we're seeing here is not just prolonged close contact, which is typical of this version of hantavirus, Sarah. That's typically what we've thought, is that you need prolonged close contact in the same room, actual spouses, that level of contact, prolonged close contact. And it seems, based on what we're hearing, and this is piecewise, and I'm reticent to speculate because we haven't heard a lot from health officials yet, but it seems like individuals on the ship that didn't have prolonged close contact are testing positive. And so perhaps there's something different here happening. That is the concern. And that would actually mirror what we've seen in prior studies of looking at hantavirus transmission, specifically the Andes version, which is at play here, that perhaps you don't need prolonged close contact in every single instance.
Meantime, investors are trying to suss out some of the investing, opportunities. We're watching Moderna. Is this a situation in which vaccine research is constructive?
Always. I would say that this is something that, if we're thinking about broader pandemic or bio preparedness, whatever's out there next. Again, hantavirus, just to restate it, we do not believe that this is something that's going to be a concern for the general public. It is a concern for those with some degree of exposure. Having said all that, is vaccine technology and vaccine platforms that can rapidly respond to an emerging pathogen like hantavirus or something that were to change quickly, is that the best way forward to make sure that we're safe as a society? Absolutely. And so are you seeing manufacturers that have investments in R&D capabilities in this type of technology, say mRNA vaccine technology, would they do well to continue to make these investments? Absolutely, because this is the way of the future. This is a zoonotic disease, transfers from animal, in this case rodent, to human, and with clear exposures and more of these exposures happening over time, this type of preparedness and research is important.
So why do you say that the risk of an overall outbreak is low if what we're finding is that it's spreading without prolonged exposure?
Well, so, it's always a continuum. So with COVID, for example, take the Diamond Princess cruise ship out off Japan, early days of COVID, 20%, over 700 passengers got infected with COVID in a very quick time period. So that secondary infection rate, attack rate, they call it, was very high. An incident case then spread to many secondary cases, very high. We just don't see that to be the case in something like hantavirus. There's now, I believe, 10 to 11 confirmed cases of about 140 passengers. So that's not insignificant. But again, we're not seeing that rapid spread the way you would expect with a contagious respiratory virus like COVID or flu. So one, there's some relief there. Two, incubation period is longer. That affords some benefits and some also some considerations here that a lot of people might be asymptomatic, might actually be carrying the virus. They don't know it, unintentionally will transmit it. So there's some challenges here, which is why, just to restate it, this movement towards moving patients to Nebraska. For those that don't know, Nebraska has one of the world's leading biocontainment medical centers in the world. 13 years in the U.S. Air Force Reserves. We interacted with that facility often whenever there was a concern for a bio crisis or some sort of emerging pathogen. This is the best the world has to offer here. So it's good that they're getting quarantined there. I hope they get the full 42-day quarantine. In addition, Sarah, there were 7 passengers who disembarked early. The concern there is they might have exposed those unwittingly on the plane back. Let's make sure we do contact tracing. Let's make sure we do a full quarantine for those as well, because nobody wants to deal with the ramifications, which is unfortunately potentially more people getting sick. And we are seeing this in France play out right now. There was an individual flew home from France, asymptomatic initially, tested positive, and is now apparently, per reports, declining with worsening health in a hospital in France. We don't want that to play out if we can avoid it.